Good afternoon, ladies and gents. All right, so we should be looking at our final activity of the week, and that's activity number 4, which deals with identifying your Henry number. Now, we know that each person might have a loop, they might have an arch, they might have a whirl. We know that loops are very, very common, and arches and whirls aren't as common. So what the FBI did is they went ahead and said, well, is there any way that we can assign a value, a number to each type, each finger? And if you have a whirl, which is pretty unique, you would be able to gain a value from that. So when you're looking at this, each finger is given a different value, and then we are going to go through and calculate what your actual Henry number is. Now, what that means is if my right thumb has an ulnar loop, a lot of people have ulnar loops. But if it had a whirl, I would actually have a value for my right thumb. Okay, so this is going to help us just kind of group individuals based upon a numerical value. Now, obviously, there is a huge variation on possibility of numbers and different combinations, but it allows for us to narrow down our search so that we are not scanning the actual database for every individual. We're only going to scan for individuals that have this certain Henry number. Okay, so how this is actually calculated is what they did is they assigned number of points for each finger, and then they created a system where they will add up all these numbers, and then you'll get a number of like 8/16. This is just a basic classification number that allows for us to go ahead and, again, just test who could possibly have done this. Because if the crime was committed by somebody who has all whirls, there's no way that I would be considered because I don't have all whirls. I actually have all loops. So those Henry numbers are really, really important when we're looking at APHIS and we're trying to say, okay, well, this group of individuals that have this matching. So I would only look at individuals with a Henry number of 8/16. Okay? So how we'll actually calculate that number is by going through, and hopefully you have already done your 10 print card and you already have them identified as to the type of print. Okay, so you're going to need that, so you're going to want to pull that out. Now, if you look at the top, it says Henry classification system allows for logical categorization of 10 print fingerprints to record into primary groups based upon those pattern types. It reduces the efforts necessary to search large number of fingerprint records by classifying them into gross physiological characteristics. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is go back to your 10 print card, and you're going to circle whether you have a loop, an arch, or a whirl for each one. So for example, on mine, I have an ulnar loop for my right thumb. So I'm going to put a loop, and then I have a whirl, and then a loop, and a loop. On my left hand, I have a whirl, a loop, loop. Nope, that's a whirl, and a loop for the last one. Okay, so that's the first thing you got to do is go through and just identify, okay, which ones are loops, which ones are whirls. Now, the only thing that I actually really care about with this classification system is the whirls and where you have them. Okay, so the first grouping is in order to identify if you have those prints, yes or no. So I'm going to then circle down here which ones have whirls. And you got to look closely, though, because each one is not in order anymore. So I had a whirl up here for the left thumb, so I'm going to circle that. I had a whirl for the right index. I had a whirl for the left ring. And then all the rest are loops. Okay, so then if you have any whirls, that earns you that value. So for example, the right index would earn me a 16, the right thumb would earn me a 16. Left middle would be a 2, left index would be a 2, and each finger has its own subsequent value. Okay, if you have an absence of a whirl, you can just leave it blank, or if you really want to put a 0 in there, you can. So mine would look just like this, and this goes in the same order as above. So 16, 0, 0, 0, 4, 0, 0, 0, 0, and then 1. Okay? So this isn't like a typical math fraction where I'm trying to add with a common denominator. I'll actually be adding across. So I will be going this way, and then I'll be going this way, and then I'll get a fractional value that I am not going to simplify, and I'm not going to turn into a decimal. Okay? So I have 16 plus 4, but then I also have an automatically added 1 over 1. So that's 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 up top, and down below 2. So my final grouping would be 21 over 2. So you know how I said, well, it puts people into groups, but you could have a variety of Henry numbers. There's actually 1,024 possible groupings that you could have. 25% of the population has no whorls. So think about it. If you have no whorls, you're adding zeros all the way up here. Okay? So then what would be your final fraction? And then what if you had all whorls? So I did actually have 16 plus 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1 on the top and the bottom, not forgetting about that automatically added one. Okay? And then you have one final question that is, well, if I don't have whorls, would I definitely have all loops? Think about it. Okay? Once you are done, if you guys can, please make sure to turn that in. You should have activities now 1 through 4 complete. Okay? We will be debriefing these 4 activities when we come back on Monday and Tuesday of next week. And then we will also be starting to develop our own fingerprints. All right? And lift them and all that good stuff. All right, you guys have a great weekend, and we will talk to you later. Bye.